Today we will begin Lesson 3, finding a main idea of a section of a text. Let's begin the lesson. We learn to summarize and keep track of characters and vocabulary in a text. We also learn how to engage in a book club discussion and set reading goals. Today we'll read The Making of a Scientist, determine the meanings of unknown words, determine a main idea of a section of a text. You will need the following. These things will, 1, be inside of your Google Classroom, and I'll show you how to do that once I pause the video. Listen while I read aloud The Making of a Scientist. Underline the parts of the text that seem most important. Of course, you can't underline the parts of the text because you cannot write on the books. So just on the Google document that I uploaded on Google Classroom, write down notes on the important parts of the text. Before I was born, my father told my mother, if it's a boy, he's going to be a scientist. Why would the father say, if it's a boy? So Richard Feynman was born in 1988. What has changed in the world since then? In 1918, what kind of work did men do? What kind of work did women do? How does that compare to today? So make sure, 1, you're going to think, you're going to pair, and then you're going to share with your partner. So make sure you're saying these words. So you're saying, just to clarify, use your conversation stems. Okay, listen while I reread paragraphs 1 to 3 of The Making of a Scientist. Then you circle unfamiliar words. Of course, you can't circle the unfamiliar words. What you are going to do is going to make note of these unfamiliar words on your Google document. In groups, create a semantic map for your assigned word. So each group is going to be assigned one word, and in that word, with that word, you're supposed to do all of this in the semantic map. You have your word, you have your dictionary definition, so everyone in your group should have the same word, same definition if possible. Synonym, I can't see what this is. Acronym, part of speech, analysis of the word parts, the origin, the word families, and your own definition of this word. So the first group will have the principle in paragraph 23. The second group will have the word remarkable in paragraph 24. The word assume in paragraph 24. Tendency in paragraph 26, motivated in paragraph 29, and magnitude. There's not this last group, so I'm going to do the magnitude by myself. That each group will complete a semantic map for their assigned words and will be responsible for teaching the class the meaning of the word in tomorrow's lesson. I will provide you, you may use your Chromebook to look up all those information for the semantic map. Make sure you can use dictionary. So make sure you read aloud the sentences for Making a Scientist. Who can state this definition in your own words, what the synonyms, what the antonyms, what prefixes and suffixes are in these words. What other words can you think of that are in this word family? You can search up the definition of the word family. Make sure you're using your conversation stems. Make sure you are working cooperatively in groups and draw on information from dictionaries, context, and prior knowledge to complete the semantic maps. All right. What might seconds mean in this context? When I was just a little kid, very small, in a high chair. My father brought home a lot of little bathroom tiles, seconds of different colors. What might seconds mean in this context? Seconds here, you make sure you share the inferences. The definition is actually goods that have imperfections. So second, like second hands, if you guys can think about that, seconds, like in second hand. Goods that have imperfections. They're probably used. Ask students to share the other meanings of the word seconds. What meanings do you know for the word seconds? Do those meanings make sense here? If Feynman's father was able to bring the tiles home for his son to play with, what might that suggest about the tiles? Make sure you use your conversation stems to write, to talk, to speak, to listen. Participate and listen. The goal is, the word seconds means goods that have imperfections. That's the definition. Also, seconds does mean the interval time, or 1, 2 second first. So, this is a quote from the text. My father said, I want to show him what patterns are like and how interesting they are. It's a kind of elementary mathematics. What might elementary mean in this context? Elementary here means not difficult, means simple math. What meanings do you know for the word elementary? Does that make sense here? If this is a math that a baby can do, what kind of math must it be? Make sure you know that elementary in this text means not difficult or simple. With a partner, reread paragraphs 1 to 3 of The Making of a Scientist. You can't underline the sentence that conveys the main idea of these paragraphs. You can only jot it down in your document on Google. So, make sure when you are rereading the partners, think about these questions and answer them if you can, so you can discuss it later as a whole class. Describe the events in these paragraphs. What's happening in these paragraphs? What did Feynman learn from his activity with the tiles? What part of the text makes you think that? Is it possible for a baby to really learn math? If Feynman's father knew a baby couldn't learn math, why do you think he did this with the tiles? What was Feynman's father trying to teach his son with the tiles? Which sentence in this paragraph shows the point the author is trying to make about the lesson Feynman's father is trying to teach him? How does this lesson about the tiles relate to Feynman's father's goals for him? So make sure you think about these questions up here. Make sure you try to use complete sentences, but for right now, you really don't, because one, you are just writing notes, especially on the document that I have provided on Google Classroom. Make sure you use these words or these questions while you're asking your partner. So 1, students, you're supposed to reread the 3 paragraphs with a partner. You should have done something or write something about, so he started very early to teach me about the world and how interesting it is. That's pretty much the main idea here. His father was trying to teach him about the world and how interesting it is, to get him excited about the world and learning new things. Students should understand that Feynman's father is using the tiles to teach him about basic patterns, to get him to think about the world in a scientific way. Students will likely say that Feynman's father was trying to teach him about math, pushed them to understand that he was trying to teach him something more important than math, about the world and how interesting it is. So that is our main idea. Feynman's father wanted to teach Feynman about the world and how interesting it is. Oops. So fill in the first row of the evidence chart by summarizing this example and the lesson Feynman's father was trying to teach him in paragraphs 1 to 3 of the text. So I'm not going to distribute the evidence chart because I am attaching that into your Google Classroom, the reading log, online reading log. So make sure you work with a partner to complete the first row of the evidence chart. Or if we run out of time, I'll probably do this with you. Lastly, let's close. In this lesson, you learned that Feynman's father was teaching him very early to observe the world and find it interesting. You also learned to find the main idea of a section of a text and practice determining the meaning of unknown and multiple meaning words by using context clues. So that was lesson 3, finding a main idea of a section of a text.